Welcome you all. My name is Dr. Mohammad Fiaz from University of Education, Digikha campus. In this video, we will cover all about honeybee, the general introduction about honeybee, how it completes its life cycle, and what are its caste on which it is called a true social insect. It is the overall overview of today's lecture. Let's start with the introduction of honeybee. Honeybee is the most significant insect which has many essential roles in our agricultural ecosystem. Different species of honeybee have been studied so far. For example, Apis dorsata, Apis cerana, Apis mellifera are few of them. Honeybees are social insects, which means that they live together in large, well organized family groups. They are useful to us as they produce honey, wax, and other products that can be used by humans. It is believed that more than 75% of the world's food crops depend to some extent on pollination, which ultimately increases food production. It is also believed that where pollination is well managed on farms, crop yields can be increased by a significant median of up to 24%. Some of the behaviors like communication, complex nest construction, environmental control, defense, and division of labor depends developed in honeybees help them exist successfully in social colonies. As you can see in the video, a bee running in a figure 8 shape is a message she is trying to convey to other members of the colony. As the honeybee is a social insect, it follows some rules. The basic includes one colony will have only one queen at the time, except the process of swarming. So, what is swarming? It is the process in which the queen bee leaves the colony with a large group of worker bees to form a new colony. The new queen takes place of the former queen, which is gone for swarming. So let's talk about life cycle of honeybee. The life cycle of honeybee completes in four stages: egg, larva, pupa, and adult, which means it is a holometabolous insect. The queen bee emerges from the hive after 3 to 5 days of her complete development and mates with the males, which are usually drones. The flight of the queen bee and drones outside the hive for mating is called nuptial flight or mating flight. After 2 to 3 days of mating, the queen starts laying egg. The queen bee lays a single egg in each hexagonal wax cell in the hive. The egg is small, white, and elongated like a rice grain. Fertilized eggs, those are usually 32 chromosomes, are laid in worker or queen cells, while unfertilized, which are 16 chromosomes, are laid in drone cells. When first laid, each egg stands vertically erect on the first day and bends over on the second day, and on the third day it lies on its side. So after 3 days the eggs hatch out into the larva. A white colored blind and legless larva lies coiled on the bottom of the cell after hatching from the egg. Body can be divided into head, thorax, and abdomen. For the first 3 days, all the larvae are fed with the royal jelly. Royal jelly is a protein rich, whitish, milky fluid produced by the worker bees when they are 7 to 11 days old. So, the larva destined to become a queen is fed with royal jelly throughout its life cycle, and the larvae of drones and workers are fed with those bee bread, which is a mixture of honey and pollen prepared by workers after 3 days. So, the larval period of queen is about 5 to 5.5 days, and 6 days for worker and 6.5 days for drones. When they are fully grown and no longer need to be fed, that is usually a final instar larva, worker bees cap their cells with a thin layer of wax to cover the cell. Once the pupa has transformed into an adult, it's, it bites away the capping and emerges out of the cell. A newly emerged bee is light in color, that is usually grayish colored. The adult honeybee may be a queen, worker, or drone depending upon its genetic content and its food during its larval stage. It takes about 15 to 16 days for the queen, 20 to 20 to 21 days for the workers, and 22 to 24 days for the drones to completely develop. The body structures and works performed by them are different. The overall process of development or life cycle in honeybee completes on an average of 21 to 22 days, depending upon the caste, which is usually queen, drone, or workers. Here is a table provided for the detailed life cycle and days covered for each life stage and caste. So, what is caste system in honeybee? As you all know, honeybee is a social insect, which means it has caste system that includes different working groups assigned with specific roles to do. Honeybee are social creatures that enlist a caste system to accomplish the tasks that ensure the survival of the colony. Thousands of worker bees, all sterile females, assume responsibility for feeding, cleaning, nursing, and defending the group. Male drones live to mate with the queen, who is the only fertile female in the colony. Let's talk about general characters of the queen bee. Each colony has only one queen except during the swarming process. A queen has a much longer body than either the drones or workers, especially during the egg laying period when her abdomen is greatly elongated. She has short wings and small proboscis, and with neither pollen baskets nor functional wax glands. The stinger present at the tip of abdomen is curved and longer than that of the worker, but it has fewer and shorter barbs. She is the only sexually developed female and produces both fertilized and unfertilized eggs. During peak production, a queen may lay up to 1500 eggs per day and may produce up to 250,000 eggs per year and possibly more than a million in her lifetime. The average production life productive lifespan of queen is 2 to 3 years, but can live for several years too, sometimes for as long as 5 years. The queen also produces pheromones that serve as a social glue, unifying and helping to give individual identity to a bee colony. She only feeds on royal jelly. Royal jelly is a protein-rich, whitish, milky fluid produced from the nurse glands of worker bees when they are 7 to 11 days old. Younger larvae, first 3 days of larval stage, are fed with the royal jelly, and the queen are fed only with royal jelly for the entire life. Let's talk about drones. Drones are usually 200 to 300 in number in a colony. They develop from the unfertilized eggs by the process of parthenogenesis. Its head is much larger as compared to the queen or worker, and the compound eyes meet at the top of its head dorsally. They are generally present only during late summer and summer when mating occurs with the queen. Drones have no stinger, no pollen baskets or wax glands. Drones become sexually mature about a week after emerging from the cell in a hive and fertilize the virgin queen during her mating flight and die instantly upon mating. During cold weather, like in the fall, pollen, nectar are resources sometimes when they become scarce, and hence the drones usually are forced out into the cold and left to starve to reduce the burden in the hive. That's pity. Workers, let's talk about workers. Workers are the smallest and constitute the majority of the bees occupying the colony. For example, in a normal colony of 40,000 bees, there would be about 39,700 worker bees. The lifespan of a worker bee is about 6 weeks. They are sterile females and under normal hive conditions do not lay eggs. They have specialized structures like brood food glands, scent glands, wax glands, and pollen baskets, which allow them to perform all the labor or works of the hive. Their mouth is modified for chewing and lapping. The tongue is long, which is used to suck up nectar and pollen from the flowers. A pair of mandibles help to manipulate was during comb building. The four pair of legs carry a row of hairs which clean the antenna. Another row of hairs called pollen comb, which cleans the pollen from the head and mouth parts and passes it to the hind legs. The intestine consists of honey stomach or the crop that stores the nectar collected during the flight. They have stink and a sac of venom located at the tip of the abdomen. They carry out special functions at different stages, such as cleaning and polishing the cells, feeding the brood, caring for the queen, removing debris, handling incoming nectar, building beeswax combs, guarding the entrance, and air conditioning and ventilating and hive during their initial few weeks as adults. Later, they forage for nectar, pollen, water, and propolis. So, If we want to generalize or simplicize the entire life cycle in simple words, then it would be like this. The queen bee, the function of the queen bee would be to lay eggs and to control and guide the colony by releasing pheromones. And the drones, their only function is to fertilize the queen. So, if we divide the workers on the basis of their uh, days, like workers of 1 to 3 days old, they give warmth to egg, larva, and pupa. Also, they clean the cells. And when the worker bees are 4 to 6 days old, they have to perform a different function, like they feed the older larvae with honey and pollen. And when the worker bees are 7 to 11 days old, they have the function to feed royal jelly produced from their nurse glands to the queen and younger larvae, which are usually below to 3 days. And when worker bees are 12 to 17 days old, they have function to produce wax and build a honeycomb. Also, they have to seal the cells of the larva and honey. If the workers are 18 to 20 days old, they have function to protect the beehive from enemies and ventilate the entire hive. And if the workers are 21 days older, they have different function, like to collect nectar, pollen, propolis, and water from the field. So this is all about the honeybee, the general lecture. See you in the next one.